Welcome to the Cattle Talk Podcast, your weekly breakdown of cattle market fundamentals, key news, and the insights shaping the industry. Trading commodity futures and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors.
Today is January 23rd. I've got Jace live with us here. How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk about cattle today on the Cattle Podcast. So, big day today, cattle on feed report. But first, we're going to start off with a little bit of the demand situation. Then we're going to talk about supply before cattle on feed. So, let's get into choice. I just had a fantastic steak the other night at Maury's. But what are the rest of the consumers thinking about choice here lately?
Yeah, there's been a lot of demand has been strong here, and we've seen that possibly wane a little bit post-holidays, but we're dealing with a couple things here. We saw the Choice Select spread narrow in, actually invert by $1.
Yeah, that was weird, right?
Yep, and that would a wider than normal spread would indicate stronger demand.
Yep.
So we've lost a little demand maybe on that front, and maybe we're not as strong on the demand side as we maybe could be with these small kills.
Understood. So at this point, Packer margins are okay, could be better kind of territory, but we're not closing anything down right now, right?
That would be my assumption. Yep.
All right, because I mean, if I look at it, cash cattle this week, 230s, 63%, easy figure in, of where cutouts at 367, pretty much right around where we're paying cash cattle at.
Yep,
today.
and it would their costs would be a little higher with their slower hours and just more overhead for the.
Is the weather this weekend affecting anything kill wise? I mean, we keep having these weather events, but they're on the weekends.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to affect much. They still got to have 4,000 head on the books for Saturday, so I don't think that's going to affect it too much. But our kills are small.
Understood. Let's talk about those kills a little bit. How are we tracking this week?
So this week we're going to kill about 535,000 is the estimate, and last year we killed about 593,000. So we're down 10% below a year ago numbers. So
we were 10% below at the beginning-ish, middle of Q4 probably of 25, and then we were only 6% behind for a little while.
Yep.
And now we're kind of fading back again to a lower kill, aren't we?
Yeah, there would have been a tightening in the Packer margins there. They got pretty decent for a while, and then
huge sell-off in cattle. They started paying up, killing more. Makes sense. We're seeing it reverse here a little bit lately. All right. What else do you want to get into on the supply and demand side before we talk about cattle on feed, Jace?
Well, I guess the cash trade has been really impressive here.
All right, so let's talk about cash trade. Today, we reported around 235. Did that end up getting traded?
Yep, 235 got traded, and that would be $2 higher than the top last week. And $2 higher than the top that's pretty impressive on this low of kill numbers. Really impressive. I think I'm understating that.
Understood. What else do you got on the cash market? Why are we bidding up here for cattle all of a sudden again?
I just think, and it's partially demonstrated in the cattle on feed, but our numbers still aren't there. We just don't have enough cattle.
Not changing anytime soon.
That's right.
It would appear that heifer retention could be starting to take place, but not yet, right?
Right.
Let's talk about the cattle on feed report a little bit. Slightly bearish a little bit. Talk to me about it, what we saw today.
Yeah, it was kind of a lull you to sleep sort of a.
So no real big change going into Monday's trade?
No,
really,
I don't think so. The cattle on feed and marketing numbers were actually right at estimates to the decimal point there. Placements were higher than the estimates were, but within the range of estimates. So there was nothing too crazy on that report.
Understood. Anything else you want to talk about on cattle on feed before we wrap up the session here today?
I don't think so. I just did have a little note on feeders. Feeders have softened just slightly.
In the cash market?
In the cash market, mainly yesterday and today. And we've seen the storm coming through the south is going to disrupt some of those sales on Monday and Tuesday. Like they're canceling them now. So we could see, we'll have to track that storm pretty closely because that could affect what they can do with their winter wheat down south.
And this is going to be a big one because you're talking, 1 foot to 2 foot of snow in the south, like Oklahoma through that area. So, I mean, this is very irregular for them and below freezing temps.
Right. I think they get down to 1 or 2 degrees.
So this will be a big deal when it comes to the weather here over the weekend. Talk to me a little bit more just about what producers should know on the cash cattle futures, everything here before we wrap up the show this week.
Yeah, I think the futures they've been a little hesitant to run here now. We saw a pretty good excuse for it today with the higher cash, and the futures were still reluctant to run there. But I think relatively speaking, we're at pretty high levels, as we all know. But I think it's a good spot to hedge. We've got a lot of uncertainty going into the spring here, so getting coverage on, looking over the coverage you have on, seeing if there's any opportunities there is kind of where we're at.
We're still hanging below that gap. I was curious going into the end of today's trade if we would see any activity after this report, because before it, I think they were still a little hesitant to maybe trade this cattle market here towards the end of the week. Good news with cash cattle being a little bit stronger today because we were wanting that, I guess, earlier in the week with the bad weather coming. We're hoping we're going to see it a little bit better, more aggressive bids through earlier this week, and we didn't see that. So I thought that was good to see that here Friday before the weekend. And then also going forward Monday, now that we've got this report behind us, it'll be interesting to see what kind of follow-through we have early next week.
It will be. A couple technical things on the cattle. We didn't trade above last week's Friday trade. We didn't get above that high, and we did bounce off the 20-day moving average on all the feeder contracts.
Anything border-wise, screwworm-wise, to really chat about here this week?
No, there has been a little discussion about the storm moving through that could push the fly or keep the fly dormant down further south. So that could help us on that end of managing it north of the border. But there's been no real new news. Just the usual. It gets talked about, but
yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. Thanks, Jace.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for listening. This podcast is available on Spotify and Apple, and now it is now launched on YouTube. This week going forward, every podcast will have a video format available on YouTube as well to discuss charts and other things that we can show you while doing our podcast. Thank you for listening.